So in section 3, we talked about parabolas. And we have equations of parabolas that open left or right, whose vertex is at the origin. So if you have 4ax equals y squared, it opens left or right. If you have 4ay equals x squared, it opens up or down. And then a is the distance from your vertex to your focus and directrix. If you had an equation of a parabola with a vertex not at the origin, it was either 4ax minus h equals y minus k squared, so still opens left or right, or 4ay minus k equals x minus h squared, which opens up or down. A is still the distance from our vertex to our focus and directrix, and then our vertex is at hk. So in our first examples, we're going to identify our vertex, opening direction, and focus for our parabolas. So negative 8xy squared, my vertex is going to be at 0, 0. For my focus, we're going to do 4a equals negative 8, divide by 4, and we're going to get a equals negative 2. Now, whether or not a gets subtracted from x or y is dependent on my opening direction. So because a is negative, I know it opens either left or down. So now I'm going to figure out which direction it opens. So whenever y is squared, it's going to open left or right. So in this case, because of the negative, it's going to open left, which means I'm going to subtract 2 from my x value, which means my focus is going to be at negative 2, 0. Our second example, 16y plus 1 equals x plus 4 squared. My vertex is going to be at negative 4, negative 1, because it's the opposite of what's with x and the opposite of what's with y. I'm going to go ahead and figure out which direction it opens first before I go ahead and find my a. So x is squared, so it opens up or down. My 4a is positive, so it's going to open up. So for my focus, we have 4a equals 16. Divide by 4, and we get a equals 4, which means a is going to get added to my y value on my vertex. So negative 4 stays the same. Negative 1 plus 4 is going to give us 3. Next example is 12x equals y minus 5 squared. So for my vertex, nothing being added or subtracted from x, so the x value of my vertex is 0, then the opposite of what's with y, which is positive 5. It is going to open right, because y is being squared and my 4a is positive. Now for my focus, 4a equals 12. Divide both sides by 4, and we get a equals 3, which is going to get added to the x value of my vertex, giving me a focus at 3, 5. Last example, we are going to write the equation of a parabola with a vertex at negative 6, 8 and a focus at 2, 8, and then we're going to sketch our graph. So I'm going to start by figuring out what direction my parabola opens. So I'm going to plot my vertex, negative 6, 8, and my focus, which is at 2, 8. So remember, your parabola always opens in the direction of your focus, which means my parabola is going to open right. So that tells me I'm going to use the equation 4a x minus h equals y minus k squared. So now I'm going to plug in a and then my vertex hk. So the distance from my vertex to my focus is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it's going to be x plus 6, because I do the opposite of my x value, and then y minus 8 squared. And then 4 times 4 is 16, so 16 x plus 6 equals y minus 8 squared. Now, to sketch my graph, I need to find my latus rectum. So I need to know how wide my parabola is going to be. So the absolute value of 16, which is 4a, gives me my distance, which is 16. That means I have to go up 8 and down 8 from my focus. I don't have enough graph to go up 8, but I can go down 8, and it can give me a rough estimate of how wide my parabola is going to be. So I can't see the top half of my parabola, but it is going to be pretty wide at the top.